Today we're going to look at a channel that disappeared for a while, but he's come back. Today we're going to look once again at Mr. Truth. Roll VT.
This is a video about top 10 proofs that the world is not a spinning globe with curved water.
Excellent. Do you know what? I think that I will join you. You're very small, aren't you? Couldn't you have made yourself a bit bigger? Never mind. Why don't you tell us what you got?
But if you say something else, then you're a lunatic and you're not allowed to go to school or to work. You know how the world works.
So you never went to school and you're not allowed to go to work, and you're considered a lunatic.
Proof number 1, balloons with footage at more than 100,000 feet.
Excellent. You know, I'm doing MAGE project, Mission Above Globe Earth, to do exactly that.
High altitude amateur balloon footage, which is with cameras with no fisheye lenses.
Well, most of them do have fisheye lenses. MAGE is going to have a camera without a fisheye lens to stop all that argument.
So you need a non-fisheye lens camera, and they show a flat, motionless plane.
No, I haven't done it yet. We didn't get up there with the first attempt, but whether it shows it to be flat or curved, and I suspect it'll be curved, but either way, it's going to look motionless. That balloon will be travelling at, I don't know, maybe up to a few tens of miles an hour. So you're not going to see the entire world spinning around underneath you, are you?
But of course, if you go to the NASA website or to the other people who like to live on curved spinning balls, you will see footage with GoPro lenses, and the GoPro lens effect has fisheye effect.
Yes, because people want a wide panoramic view. Because if you're sending something up there, you want a good view of it. I'm forgoing that with the main MAGE camera, so that we get a narrow view without any distortion. So you should be happy then.
Don't get it why people do not understand the difference between fisheye and non-fisheye lenses. There you go. Proof number 2, airplanes. Dips the nose.
And you don't understand why people have trouble understanding wide-angle lenses, and you can't even understand why aircraft don't dip their noses.
So I've never seen an airplane dip in the nose.
Nor have I, because they don't, unless they want to descend in altitude and perhaps crash.
So the airlines and everybody who becomes a pilot, they assume a flat earth when training pilots.
Because they don't need to allow for the curve when they're flying along. The plane will follow the curve. Navigation is a different kettle of fish, but actually flying a plane, all you need to worry about is keeping so many thousand feet above sea level.
Using their target generation facilities, an airplane traveling at 500 miles per hour or more, but let's speak about conventional commercial planes, and they would have to compensate for a drop of approximately 3,000 feet every minute.
Does a train have to compensate when it's turning, when that train is I don't know, following its way around the edge of a city and it's going around a long curve? Does the train driver have to allow for the curve? They don't steer it, it follows the rails. With aircraft, they're balancing thrust and lift against drag and gravity, and that will give them a height, and it will carry on at that height unless there's a change in gravity, which isn't likely, a reduction or an increase in thrust and lift, and so on. So all they need to do is, if they keep those the same, that aircraft will carry on at the same height above the curved earth. They don't have to dip their noses
to maintain cruising altitude and not fly off into space.
Hold on, so you're not even worried about them coming down and hitting the earth. You're saying that they could just fly off up into space. Why didn't you talk to NASA about it? I should think they'll pay you a shed load of money, because it saves all that mucking around with rockets and a shed load of fuel.
So if somebody can illuminate me...
Illuminate you? I'll set light to you in a minute.
As to why pilots and planes don't do that. And of course I understand, if you're a pilot, you're not going to lose your job because something against, the globe earth. You get to be sent to the doctor, and the doctor says you're not fit to fly, and you lose your job, and then you have to work as a dishwasher or something, or like sell hamburgers at McDonald's, and of course you don't want to do that. So yeah.
What is wrong with selling hamburgers or doing dishes or sweeping the streets. Somebody has to do it. I'm sorry that you're not qualified enough to do that, but that's your problem.
That's how the world works. Thanks for the Illuminati. Yeah. Proof number three, the eye. The eye. So the law of perspective. I love the law of perspective.
But I bet you don't know the first thing about it.
So I guess many of you who study art and architecture, you know what I'm talking about. So the law of perspective, which is a law, not like gravity, greatly limits the ability of the human eye to see far distances.
Well, you go out at night, look at the moon. You go out in the day and look at the sun. That's 93 million miles away. Again at night, look at the stars. The nearest one is about 2.4 light years away. You can see things hundreds of light years away. The distance is not a problem.
And even not just the human eye, even like an artificial eye. So are we to believe that from 240,000 miles away or more, you can make out features on the face of the moon?
Yes, and why shouldn't you? They're large. Those craters are tens of miles across, the ones that you can see, or more. Of course you can see that. The angular resolution isn't too small to see it. However, what you're not going to see is you're not going to see little rocks a couple meters across with your naked eye stood on Earth, because that is beyond the limit of your eye.
The naked eye, which means that if you can do that with a naked eye, and considering the law of perspective, that the moon is not what they tell us, and it's not at 240,000 miles away.
You know that we can measure it. We bounce lasers off it. We can measure it so accurately, it's to within a few centimetres, or maybe even less for all I know.
So yeah, it's just one of those things.
Yeah, just one of these things, you know.
Proof number 4, water. Water finds its level.
Yes, it does. Well done.
Water always finds its level.
Definitely does.
And if the world were a giant sphere spinning through infinite space and with curved water, then you would never see flat level surfaces.
This is brilliant. That's right. Water would find its own level and it would not be flat.
They would not exist. But
No.
Since the world is in fact an extended plane,
Fact. You need evidence for fact.
we have no clue how big it is. This physical property of fluids finding and remaining level is consistent with all the observation. It is scientific, but if you say it like that, then people are just going to laugh at you, and even academics and university professors, they're going to laugh at you.
Of course they are, because you're a chuffing idiot and everyone needs someone to laugh at. That picture that you're showing is level water, but it's not flat. But it's only just not flat. The outer flatness is so slight, you're not going to see it with the naked eye. What do you expect? Or some wibbly wobbly curve that you have no concept of scale, do you? Nor does any flat earther. That's half their problem. Can't scale, can't 3D. Learn those and you might get somewhere.
That's how the world works. Thank you very much, Illuminatis. Number 5, we see too far.
You just said that we can't see great distances. You do contradict yourself much?
Now, it is often possible to see, and this is something that people know in that area, the Chicago skyline.
Often, but not always. So why can't you see it always? The reason you can't see it always is that the times that you can see it is due to an optical effect.
From sea level 60 miles away across Lake Michigan. And in 2015, actually, a photographer called Joshua Nowicki, he was really viral on the internet. He captured this phenomenon, and according to the curvature formula, Pythagorean formula, 8 inches per mile squared, Chicago should be 2,400 feet below the horizon. And
well, I don't know off the top of my head how far it should be below the horizon, but it would be below the horizon.
it's not below the horizon, and you can see the skyline. And of course, the TV in America, they said it's a mirage.
No.
You're hallucinating. So
no, you're not hallucinating. That is not what a mirage is. Mirage is atmospheric conditions producing an optical effect. In this case, that atmospheric condition, the refraction, is lifting and bending the rays of light coming from Chicago around the curve so that you can see it and your camera can see it. It's not a hallucination. Otherwise, how the hell could you take a photograph of it, you chuffing idiot?
You have to accept the official version, because if you don't, then you're going to get isolated in life. Now,
you know how that feels, don't you?
number 6, planes and the plane flights. So hundreds of flights every day. Well, not now, because right now it's forbidden. Who knows if we're ever gonna go back to flying again? But hundreds of flights every day make fuel stops that make no sense
to you. Well, that diagram is the Earth flattened out, so it's not going to look right. Draw that on an actual sphere. They would be the convenient places to stop, refuel, load and unload passengers and cargo. Of course it looks odd when you've unpeeled the Earth and laid it out flat.
On a globe, but they make perfect sense on a flat Earth. Now remember
that you're an idiot, because that flat Earth is actually a globe squished and distorted out to make it flat. Look at the shape of Australia, look at the shape of South America and Africa. They're all distorted. The further you get away from the centre, the greater the distortion. The distances on those flights will not equate to reality.
Like today, we also know that planes, they travel with free infinite energy.
Where do they get that from then? Where does all this free infinite energy come from, and why can't I run my car on it?
Because they use the energy of air, and they compress air. So
if you compress air, that takes energy to compress it. So what are you using to compress it? You're using something that is not free. So by definition, compressed air is not free. You don't burn compressed air. All you could use is the pressure difference to drive something. And actually, the amount of energy in there is not a lot when you compare it to the amount of energy that's stored in liquid dinosaurs.
So everything is possible. It's just how it works. So yeah, there you go. Number 7, it's the jet streams. This is something really easy. You can just check these pictures online. But jet streams on globe Earth versus a plane or flat Earth, which one makes more sense? Obviously, it makes more sense to go for the non-globe. I'm saying non-globe because people get mad at me when I say flat.
Well, unless you're going to explain why those jet streams go south, go north, go south, go north again, then what you just said is meaningless. You can't just say it makes more sense.
Number 8, crepuscular sun rays. So the sun rays is a classical one. The sun is smaller than the Earth. Of course, it's very close. It's not a plasmatic ball. It's probably a disk.
Well, probably. Yeah, let's just make stuff up. Look, you can't just take a 2D image of a 3-dimensional scene, take measurements on the 2D image, and then claim that as a distance. Those rays are actually not just coming down from the sun at an angle, they're coming down from the sun and towards you. How are you going to measure that from a flat photograph?
Electromagnetic energy and stuff like that. So we can trace the angle of the rays back to their source above the clouds, and you can calculate mathematically, and you can see the distance is not 93 million miles away.
No, and I have just taken a photograph of a railway line, calculated back with the angles, and those rails meet 2 miles away, which is obviously the end of the railway. You're an idiot. A total chuff nugget,
as they say, or 150 million kilometers. This one, of course, gravity is magic. Everybody knows that gravity is easily explained by density and buoyancy.
Ah, so can you explain buoyancy without gravity then, you twit?
Newton's theory has never been proven. That's why it's just a theory.
And yet, all of our spaceships, satellites, the planets, and so on, they all seem to obey the laws of Newtonian mechanics.
And things rise or fall based on their density and the medium with which they travel through. So that's why you have stuff which is lighter than air. My question is, a picture is worth more than 1,000 words. So
you said it's lighter than air. What's giving it any weight at all if it's not gravity?
In the end, who is upside down on the globe spinning Earth in space with
all of us? And all of us are the right way up and sideways. There is no up and down. You northern hemispherist.
curved water. Is an Australian, a South African, or a South American upside down with their ass up, or is it like a North American, European, Russian, Chinese? Because depending on where you live in the world. But yeah, do you see where I'm coming from? And you show this picture to somebody and they're just gonna go crazy, maybe nuts, or they're just gonna like laugh at your stuff, because that's how the world works.
I think I know where you're coming from, and I don't know quite how you managed to escape or get that comfortable jacket off that is fastened at the back.
There's too many sheeple and sheep in the world, but I can't change that, unfortunately. I can only show you pictures and videos and text and
make us all a little bit dumber.
That's the most we can do, because we're just slaves. Number 10, boats over the curvature. Now, it is a common misconception that boats disappear out of sight because of the curvature.
And yet, if you follow a boat as it goes over the curve and then get yourself a powerful lens, you will still not be able to see it because it's round the bend.
The Earth. So the introduction of the super cameras, and I have absolutely no relationship with this company.
And I'm sure that this company wants absolutely no relationship with you.
I would like to, but I don't. Introduction of the Nikon P900 and Nikon P1000 cameras have posed a real problem for the supposed curvature of the Earth.
It really, really hasn't. Do you think that the Nikon P900 and Nikon P1000 are the most powerful lenses in the world? Have you never heard of telescopes? They can see a bit further than a Nikon P1000, I don't know quite why flat earthers have latched onto them as the be-all and end-all, because they ain't.
That's why people who live on a globe Earth with curved water, they don't like Nikon, because Nikon shows you what you see in the picture.
No, I love Nikon, because every time it shows that you guys cannot evidence what you're claiming.
With the naked eye, so no zoom, you don't see anything. With
no zoom, you're not seeing a boat because it's just too far away and too small. The angular resolution is not enough to see.
With zoom, you see the boat.
With the zoom, you perhaps bring it back into view as long as it has not passed that horizon. However, I'm not sure about this photograph.
With super zoom, digitally enhanced and optical zoom at maximum, you see everything. So
not only do you apparently see that whole boat, you suddenly can see a horizon that's lifted beyond it. How has that changed? That is a fake set of photographs. I am claiming that as a fake. Look at the difference between the zoom and the super zoom. The masts have got a bit bigger, but they seem to be roughly the same width. The hull has vastly changed. That's fake. I'm calling bull on that.
How does that work? Of course, I forgot. The law of perspective. And if you have like a powerful lens, you can see beyond your eyesight. Hey, I hope you enjoyed this like very short but sweet video.
Well, short anyway.
And yeah, let me know your thoughts.
You don't want to know my thoughts. I'll leave it up to everyone else if they'd like to go to his channel and leave their thoughts.
Do you live on a spinning ball with curved water?
Yes.
Or do you live like a human being? But of course, we all know that, you lose your job, you lose friends, you lose family.
And you're speaking from experience, I presume.
That's how the sheep will work. This world. I'll see you guys in the next video.
But not if all you do is present the same sort of assorted gish gallop of previously debunked rubbish. Well, Mr. Truth, why don't you try and come back with something new? Something that you have evidence. That would be really good. I'd like to take this opportunity to thank my amazing patrons. With massive thanks and appreciation to all my patrons, including new patrons Sharkworks, Ex-Penguin95, Stephen York, Ewe Closer, Wee Scott's Dog, Marconius, Jason Utting, Kevin Seidel and Doc Brew, and my latest patron Marius. Thank you all so very much. Don't forget to like, subscribe and hit that notification bell. Until next time, stay sensible.
Shut up and sit down.